founder of Walmart did, just like the founder of Mrs. Fields Cookies did, just like the founder of every extraordinary entrepreneurial company ever did. Let me tell you a story. Let me tell you a story. Hear this. You don't know your story. You can't grow your company. Without a story, there is no magic to it. The franchisee would listen to the story, and Ray Kroc would regale him with the fact that there are going to be 30,000 stores when we're done. They're going to be in every country worldwide. The man was already, by that time, 58 years old. What's your problem? You understand? Here's this guy telling this story that would exhaust most people even to think about. You're going to do what? Everybody always says to a rabid entrepreneur, you're going to do what? That's impossible. And he only smiled. And then he said, so let me show you the secret. He took him into McDonald's and showed him the perfection of the system. Show them kids producing results their parents couldn't get them to produce at home. But show them a little miracle. And they would say yes. And he'd say not yet. First you got to go to Hamburger U. Hamburger U? What the hell is that? That's where you learn how to run the system. The system is the solution, Ray Kroc said. The system is the thing that makes it work. The system is the thing that makes it possible for us to predict exactly what it's going to look like when it gets to the very end. The system is what makes it possible for us to make a promise to a customer who comes in the door. The system is what makes a Big Mac a Big Mac. The system is what makes our fries, and nobody else's fries. How do you do that? I'm not talking about business. I'm talking about a point of view. I'm talking about mastery, as mastery reveals itself in every single thing a human being does or doesn't. I'm talking about being able to see the pattern. I'm talking about having this extraordinary ability to see the whole, the entirety of it, each and every single part, each and every single personal part, and the way they interface with every other single personal part, the way the pieces come together, to create, this is my company, this is our company, this is your company, this is McDonald's, this is the only company of its kind in the world, and it's selling a hamburger, French fries, a milkshake, and everybody else is too. How do you turn a commodity into an exquisite brand? All these are questions that came to me as I'm looking for the Holy Grail and trying to discover what it took to be able to teach anybody who's already committed himself, his family, her family, to creating a small business, hopefully to make it work so they wouldn't have to go back and start a job all over again. All the questions. How do people do that? How did he do that? How did he even think to do that? How did he even imagine it could be done when everybody was telling him it couldn't be? How do you? So the story began to unfold, and it began to speak. It began to tell the story of how Ray Kroc did what Ray Kroc did. And he used Ray Kroc as the icon for every small business owner, whether it be a plumber or an electrician, whether it be a bakery, whether it be a coffee shop, whether it be an accountant or a bookkeeper or a mathematician, whether it be a seminar speaker or a consultant, didn't make any difference. It didn't make any difference because the system is the solution. Just like Ray Kroc said, he said it, he did it, he proved it, he validated it, and every extraordinarily successful company in the world has done identically the same thing, and everybody else hasn't. How does a guy open up a coffee shop and call it Starbucks? For God's sakes, and you pay 10 times how much you'd pay for a cup of coffee anyplace else. Are you out of your minds? And you stand in line, 20 people in line, just waiting to say venti, grande, tall. Where the hell did they get that language? You want a big one, you want a small one? I can't even get tall and small in the same box. I didn't know how he came up with that. What words do you use to describe what you do? What's your story? And so E-Myth became this miraculous thing. Well, the truth is, at a certain point in my life in E-Myth, I began to feel like I needed something else. At the age of 68, we recruited and hired a CEO to run the company and to grow it. And he brought in his own management team, and I, the chairman of the board, I'm still the chairman of the board and the founder of the company, major shareholder of the company, but I'm standing on the outside now, not on the inside. So suddenly I'm on the outside of my own company, not on the inside of my own company, and suddenly I need something to do. Well, what the hell does somebody at 68 years old do? Start another company. What, are you out of your mind? You could relax, you could play golf. I don't play golf. I mean, you could just do something, but you start another company? Are you crazy, Michael? That's what people said. Well, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? I said, there's something missing at E-Myth, and I want to discover what it is. And I had a long conversation with my mother, who on this day is 96 years old. I've been trying to get her to start a new business, but she said no. We were talking and talking and talking. I was telling her about all the stuff that's going on in my head. She says, Michael, it's just obvious to me what you got to do is you got to create something new. When I walked out of my mother's house, after she said you got to create something new, an idea came to me. And the idea actually was something that had been sitting there for a long time. My brother-in-law, by the name of Marty Sklar, who was a vice chairman of Disney Imagineering, just retired, told me a story about Walt Disney. Of course, Walt Disney is one of the greatest entrepreneurs who ever lived. He said Walt was in a meeting one day and was getting really frustrated. And Walt did get really frustrated with lesser minds and lesser people. I mean, you understand, he was always driven crazy because nobody could see what he saw. Has anybody ever suffered from that? Why is it they can't see this? Well, he essentially asked everybody to leave and said, when you come back tomorrow morning to the meeting, it's not going to be a meeting like anything we've ever done before. Be prepared for something new. And they went away and they came back the next morning, and on the door of the meeting room was a sign. And it said, welcome to the dreaming room. They'd never seen that before. They walked in and everybody sat down. Walt didn't say a word. Everybody congregated. And then Walt started the meeting. He said, you obviously saw the sign on the door. This is no longer a meeting room, a conference room. This is the dreaming room. And he said, befitting of that name, you are no longer who you thought you were. You are now Disney Imagineers. And he said, what we do in the dreaming room is to pursue the impossible. Hear me, pursue the impossible. Not fix anything, not make anything right, but pursue the impossible. Which means we can't get there from here. Which means nothing you believe you know to be true is relevant to what we're about to do, which is impossible. Which means we can't even conceive of it until it comes to us. Like in a flash of light, like every amazing thing that's come to me, Walt said, has come like in a flash of light. And he said again, welcome to the dreaming room. Let's get busy. And of course, their focus was Disneyland. And nothing like Disneyland had ever been created before. And even when Walt came back to his brother, Roy Disney, and said, Roy, you'll not believe what we're about to do. And Roy, of course, being accustomed to not believing what we're about to do, because that's what Walt always came back with, what we're about to do, you won't believe it. And Roy said, I probably won't. And he said, we're going to create Disneyland. And Roy said, "What in the hell is that?" He said, "Nothing like we've ever seen before." He said, "I just took my nephews to an amusement park, and I was offended at the way the people dressed, at the way the rides looked. I couldn't even imagine anybody going there and taking children there. It was an unholy experience. We're going to create exactly the opposite of that. I've never seen it. You've never seen it. We've never done it. Nobody's ever done it. And that's exactly what appeals to me, just like Fantasia did. Always the first. Always the first. What are you the first to do? Please write that down. What are you the first to do? What am I the first to do? What's my dreaming room? What's my pursuit of the impossible? What am I here to create that's going to transform the world in this age of the new entrepreneur, which is really a revolution? Do you understand? Institutions aren't going to change the world. The church isn't going to change the world. The synagogue isn't going to change the world. The government isn't going to change the world. The job isn't going to change the world. The entrepreneur is going to change the world, just like the entrepreneur has always done. But now, hear me, but now with an extreme difference. I said it, I called it, the new entrepreneur. Who is the new entrepreneur? The new entrepreneur is not interested in simply creating an ordinary business. The new entrepreneur, Muhammad Yunus, the creator of Grameen Bank, who has transformed the lives of over 7 million starving women in countries in which they don't stand a chance to live, impoverished not. He said there's got to be a better way. There's got to be a better way. And he created micro-lending. And his micro-lending has transformed the lives of millions of women and soon to be hundreds of millions of impoverished people across the earth. He won the Nobel Peace Prize for it. He is an entrepreneur. He's an entrepreneur of the new age, of the new entrepreneur, the entrepreneur I'm talking about, to create a company of meaning. Please write this question down, every single one of you who raised your hands, you own a business. What's the meaning of my business? What's the meaning of my life? What's the meaning of my business? And how is the meaning of my life and the meaning of my business connected to produce a revolution in the world? What is it I'm here to create? And so I began the creation of a new company. And I held my first dreaming room in December 2005, 8th, 9th, and 10th. I had 35 people come to that dreaming room at $3,000 each. And each and every one of them said, "So what am I going to get in the dreaming room?" And I said, "I hadn't a clue. What you're going to get is me. And I'm probably going to piss you all off. What you're going to get is a blank piece of paper and beginner's mind. We're going to get rid of old co. We're going to get rid of all of the past. We're going to get rid of everything you believe in. We're going to get rid of every place you're stuck. And we're going to start with an open question. Who am I? And where am I going? What's my dream? What's my vision? What's my purpose? What's my mission? What matters to me? What matters to you?" And I walked into that dreaming room just like everyone else. I walked in without any idea of what was going to happen. I'd never done it before. I don't do that. I don't do personal growth. That makes me obviously very strange among you. I said at the very beginning, this is not personal growth. This is beyond personal growth. This is not about you at all. It's about the world. It's about meaning. It's about suffering out there in the world. It's about every single opportunity. It sits right there, just like Muhammad Yunus saw when he stood outside of the university where he's teaching economics in Bangladesh, and thousands upon tens of thousands of people were coming in from the villages to die in the streets. Truly, die in the streets. And he'd walk out and he'd see them, and he said in his book, Banker to the Poor, get that book, it's not here, Banker to the Poor, write it down. He said, you know, it just struck me. You can't really tell when a person's close to death and dead. They look about the same. He said, something has to be done. And he reached into his pocket and loaned $17 in Bangladesh money to the first woman he saw when he walked out of his classroom. He said, I'm teaching economics, and this puts the lie to it. How could we be living here in this day and age and having millions of people dying on the streets? How is that possible? And he loaned her $17, no collateral. He said, go and make a basket. And she did, and pay me back. And she did. And 98% of the women he has loaned money to have paid him back. No collateral, no bank, nothing like anybody has ever seen before. What's your problem? Because I discovered working with all these little businesses that there was no passion, there was no meaning, there was no purpose other than getting by. There was no life, no vitality, no spirit. It was just doing it. To do what? To work through my days. There's got to be something else in life. There's got to be something else in life. There's got to be something else in creating something that creates an economy in which people can learn to flourish. So I started out in the path in December of 2005 with my first dreaming room, and I've now done 24 of them. I'm extending an invitation to every single one of you here. Harv told me that you're the most passionate people he's ever known. I took him at his word. I'm going to extend a special invitation to everybody here to sign up in the age of the new entrepreneur, to become a revolutionary, to join me, to do something nobody else has conceived of doing. Now, I already know I don't have to know how to do that. I already know you don't have to know how to do that. I already know it just comes to me. And I already know it's going to come to you, because dreaming room after dreaming room after dreaming room after dreaming room, people's lives are transformed. But they do what the transformation speaks to them about. They just don't dream about it. Because dreaming, as I'm describing it, has nothing to do with the dreaming that you might do when you're asleep. This is intentional dreaming I'm talking about. It's what Muhammad Yunus did when he loaned her $17, and then another, and another, and another. He could see poverty eradicated around the world. And his dream is that by 2050, there is no reason that there will ever be, again, poverty. Can you imagine and actually pulling that off? Think about it. Gandhi said, I have a dream. Martin Luther King said, I have a dream. Muhammad Yunus said, I have a dream, and he says it to this day. Every extraordinary inventor of the impossible that pursues it with the passion to be able to see something nobody else can see. That's what I'm looking for. I need thousands of people to awaken the entrepreneur around the world. To do what? To invent a new world. It's not only possible, but we're doing it. Thank you. Bye-bye.